Netflix seems to keep releasing more and more anime-like shows with each passing day, and it's getting pretty overwhelming to try and keep up with them all. Today we're going to talk about what I personally find to be one of the better ones currently available in a spoiler-free chat. And with that info, you can decide if it's a show for you. Either that, or you've already seen it and you're here to confirm that you're right to like it. Which you are, it's really good. I will be going over stuff about Season 1 here, but nothing major, just basic info. Castlevania is a pretty gritty adventure-type story based on the third installment of the Castlevania series, Castlevania 3, Dracula's Curse. As such, it has a party of protagonists rather than one direct main character. The three characters are Trevor Belmont, last of House Belmont, and for those who are only vaguely aware of what Castlevania is about, this is the guy who uses the whip. Next is Sypha Belnatus, a regular mage with really flashy elemental magic. And lastly, we have Alucard, who is the son of Dracula and has a myriad of abilities that tie into vampire lore throughout the ages. As the show progresses, the cast is diversified and there are many other characters in the spotlight who also get a fairly good chunk of screen time and character development. The main essence of this show flows similarly to a video game. Not specifically the one it's based on, but I mean like in general. By that I mean the protagonists are driven by a main plot, or quest rather, but oftentimes there's smaller storylines, like side quests. The storytelling is pretty non-typical, as hand in hand with the idea of not having a singular protagonist, Castlevania will tell multiple plots to cover multiple characters and their growth at the same time, and sometimes these stories don't even overlap, at least too heavily. Some could take this as the stories feeling unrelated, some even wasteful, but to me it adds to the storytelling, giving life to the world by not having every meaningful event be tied to some cliche ideal of a chosen one. I have to mention that Castlevania does not shy away from being gory. Right out the gate in the first episode, there's some pretty gratuitous gore, and let's just say that it isn't solely reserved for bad guys or adults. If this kind of thing isn't your speed or turns you off of a show, I'd avoid this one altogether. I will say, however, that the gore in this show has a pretty unique feeling to it. Something about the way the shots are composed leads it to have a genuine feeling of horror, rather than killing for killing's sake. So on the other side of the coin, if you do like horror, this is right up your alley. A big driving factor that caused a lot of eyes to be drawn to the series in the first place is the grandiose scale battles, which are always fluid in animation and absolutely beautiful to watch. But two of the things I like most about the combat within this series is, for one, the lack of needless dialogue or flashbacks during the fight. Nobody boasts, nobody stands there giving an evil monologue while the other lays on the ground, and nobody flashes back to how alone they were as a child. Sometimes they'll say a quip or something along those lines, but nothing that takes you out of the fact that they are in a battle of life and death. Somehow, in this universe about vampires and magic, the fights still feel real. Secondly, and I think most importantly to me, is the creativity of the battle scenes. There's a lot of shows out there that have extremely bland fighting that essentially boils down to my power against your power, face value, nothing interesting. But the truly special shows out there will give a character an ability and then find creative and cunning ways for that character to use those abilities in combat. Think early Naruto for this one. Not only is it really cool to watch as a viewer, it also bolsters your characters as it makes them look more intelligent just because they thought to do something in a battle. I think if I was to wrap up the entire series with one word, I would choose authentic. The combat feels real, the gore is terrifying, the world feels full, and the characters are all likable and self-consistent within themselves, which only results in you becoming more and more invested in them the more you watch. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. I can't go too much more into it without treading on spoiler territory, but if what I've said so far sounds good, I can't recommend this show enough. I have another video coming up in a few days that's going to be very spoiler heavy and basically be a review or analysis of Season 4. So if you've seen this show already, or binged the hell out of it after watching this, make sure to subscribe and keep an eye out for that one. Thank you for watching.